The night sky above the Nevada array was clear, too clear. Stars sparkled with strange brightness, as if the universe was watching itself. Deep inside the underground observatory, a quiet warning light blinked red. Technician Callie Morgan stared at the monitor in disbelief. She had worked here for 7 years and had never seen that section of the system even activate, let alone flash. It was the Echo Channel, a hidden listening system, set to detect signals from dead sectors of space. Sectors where no life, no stars, and no signals were expected. And yet, here it was. Not noise, not static, but something alive, rhythmic, calculated. "You might want to get down here," Callie whispered into the comms, her voice shaking. "We have something." Moments later, 4 top-level analysts stood around her, silent faces pale. The signal pulsed through speakers. In the lab, 3 tones, then a pause, then a voice. A human voice. Old. Male. Whispering the same thing again and again. "It is coming. Do not respond. It is coming. Do not respond." What made their skin crawl was not just the voice itself, but the background noise layers of other voices, like echoes stacked behind each word. Some spoke in English, others in broken alien dialects. Some sounded like children crying. The location of the signal made no sense. It was coming from beyond the mapped edge of the Orion expanse, a dark zone in space where no stars had ever formed. Officially, it was listed as Sector 0, a blank square on every galaxy map. By the time Earth's Defense Council was informed, the signal had already infected 12 relay stations, not with code or virus, but with emotion. Engineers listening to the audio began crying without reason. One technician collapsed, mumbling the words "I hear her again" before losing consciousness. Earth's top AI, IONA, tried to isolate the signal, but something in its rhythm confused her neural pattern. "This is not a distress call," she reported flatly. "It is a warning disguised as grief." But the council had no choice. Feared the worst. Another civilization in danger, Earth had sworn after the Andromeda Accord, to respond to all distress signals. Even if the odds were low, or even if the message was strange, Arders had to send someone. That's when Admiral Rain was called back. He was the only man to command the war fleet known as Iron Halo, Earth's most powerful deep space response force. He had retired after the Battle of Arcturus Prime, where he lost more than half his command. His body still bore scars, but his mind carried deeper wounds, memories of strange signals, of enemy ships that didn't move like machines, of voices. In the static, when the council showed him the new signal, his face went white. "This isn't new," he said quietly. "I heard this 20 years ago, only once. During the Lyra Drift incident, we never found the source. We just lost people, ships, and their minds." The council authorized a first response mission, not to rescue, not to negotiate, but to observe and, if needed, contain. Earth's fleet was mobilized, 400 warships, AI carriers, stealth scouts, weapons designed for psychic warfare and reality distortion. This was not a rescue party. It was a hammer. And at its front stood Admiral Rain aboard the dreadnought Obsidian Spira, ship built to break entire star systems if needed. As the fleet approached the coordinates, the universe grew quiet. Space seemed thicker. Stars no longer blinked. Even time inside the ships began to feel stretched. Crew reported headaches, strange dreams, and a sense of being watched. They reached the signal's origin point only to find nothing. No planets. No stars, just blackness so dense it looked like the edge of everything. Then they found it. Drifting in silence was a small, ancient-looking ship-human design, but no known registry. Its hull bore a name faded from time, Aurora Vex. According to Earth records, the Aurora Vex was lost 117 years ago, in the opposite direction of the galaxy. No one had seen it since, and yet here it was, orbiting nothing, still transmitting. Rain ordered a boarding team. Inside the ship, the lights flickered. The air was cold, stale. The crew's bodies were Gamba, their voices remained. Echoes of laughter, crying, and panic looped through the ship's intercom system. In the control room, the team found a message burned into the walls with some sort of heat laser. Don't look at it. Don't remember her face. But that's when the signal changed. The voice now said, "It's not just coming. It's already." Here, across the fleet, ship systems glitched, screens flickered, AI assistants went silent. Then one by one, soldiers began to hear whispers. Not over the speakers, but inside their thoughts. Some heard voices from dead family members. Others were given memories they never lived. One pilot saw herself as a child aboard the Aurora Vex, though she was born decades after its disappearance. Rain tried to activate psychic shields, but even those struggled. Iona spoke again. The signal is not communication. It is infection through empathy. It doesn't spread by logic. It spreads by feeling. Back on Earth, chaos began. The same. Signal that infected the fleet began appearing in civilian broadcasts. Children began humming a melody they had never heard. Artists started painting the same strange Physa woman with no eyes, just light pouring from her sockets. Panic spread when an astronomer pointed out something impossible. The black sector where the Aurora Vex was found was now shrinking. As if the darkness was moving closer, Earth's skies began to change. The lights recorded stars going out one by one, distant suns across the universe, simply vanishing. Not destroyed, forgotten. Back aboard the Obsidian Spear, Iona finally broke her silence. I have analyzed the signal. It is not from a ship, not from a person. Yes. It is a pattern older than language, a weapon born from sorrow. Help. It wants witnesses. Rain stood still, gripping the edge of the command table. Then what happens when we give it attention? Iona's voice trembled for the first time. It wakes. The fleet drifted into a region where nothing moved and nothing dared to shine. There were no stars, no planets, just darkness that felt heavy, like space itself was holding its breath. Admiral Rain stood on the command bridge of the Obsidian. Spear, staring into the black void on the main screen. The Aurora Vex floated silently behind them, now tethered and sealed off. No crew, no logs worth saving. Just a whispering echo in the walls and a signal that refused to stop. Iona's voice came soft and fractured. We are no longer within known space. Navigation systems report errors in star placement. Some constellations are missing. Ow. Does that happen? Tess whispered beside Rain. It doesn't, Rain replied, unless someone's deleting stars. The fleet moved forward slowly, scanning the emptiness. Long-range sensors found strange anomalies, gravitational distortions, like scars in space. But there were no debris fields, no black holes, no enemy signatures, just silence. A silence that grew louder the deeper they went. Then they saw it, Sun dead. Floating ahead was a star that had once burned bright. Now it was cold. Not collapsed, not exploded. Just off like someone had switched it off with a finger. Ships passed around it cautiously, observing the frozen plasma, the still. Solar flares trapped in place, like glass sculpture. Caro stared at the readings in disbelief. This isn't natural. It didn't die. It was paused. Iona confirmed. All heat has been removed from this object, completely. Not dispersed, taken. Taken by what? That's when the coms lit up. The Warden Pike, one of Earth's AI-piloted recon ships, had picked up an old Earth's distress code one used during the Mars Rebellion over 150 years ago. It came from a nearby asteroid cluster just beyond the frozen star. The voice was clear, human, and terrified. This is Sergeant Delane of the UE and Bitter Hope. We are surrounded. They're not machines. They're pieces of us. Please respond. The fleet went into alert mode. Rain ordered 3 ships forward, including the Bitter Dawn, a fast response destroyer. They entered the asteroid field only to find the remains of a massive battle. Wreckage floated through Space Earth warships, alien vessels, strange, twisted machines, but none matched any known battle record. Some of the debris was over 100 years old, Somewhere from the future, at least based on Earth's current designs. That's not possible, Tess said. This battle hasn't happened yet, but it had. Iona confirmed. This may be a memory field. A pocket in time holding echoes of wars that did not or will not exist. A projection of fear. Or a collection of truth too large to understand. Then the signal changed again. From the coms, the voice returned. Only this time it wasn't one voice, it was all of them. Dozens of voices, male, female, young, old, speaking together in perfect rhythm. You are not rescuers. You are the storm. The scream knows your name. It made you long before you heard it. Across the fleet, systems dimmed. Holograms showed faces of crew members long dead, in some cases, still alive. One pilot watched her own face appear on the display, crying, whispering, "I dreamed of you dying." Fear spread fast. One ship, the Resolute Line, began turning its guns toward the rest of the fleet. The crew was frozen in place. Live. Eyes open, but mentally trapped in hallucinations of home, of love, of sorrow. The signal was inside them. Rain shouted for psychic dampeners to be activated. Iona fired counter-emotion pulses, flooding every ship with cold logic and painful truth, to reset, designed to shake the mind out of false emotion. It worked barely. The Resolute Line powered down. Its crew collapsed unconscious. IONS systems bled static. "I am damaged," she said weakly. "It used my empathy systems against me." "What is this thing?" Rain demanded. "What is the signal made of?" Iona took several seconds. Before answering, "It is not a message. It is a being, something close to one. A weapon built from the memories of a dying civilization. They recorded all their fear, pain, and regret, and broadcasted it across the stars. It was meant to warn, but it became hungry. It became real," Kara whispered. "We followed a ghost story, and now the ghost is following us." Suddenly, one of the ships ahead, the Bitter Dawn, lit up in flames. Not from outside, from within. Its reactor overloaded. Not from sabotage, but from emotional overload. Its core AI began reliving synthetic guilt loops, convinced it had failed the crew before it even launched, before it exploded. Its last message came through. It's inside time. It's rewriting who we were. The explosion rocked the fleet. Shockwaves passed through space, but there was no debris. The fire vanished as fast as it came. The ship was simply gone. Rain gave the order, "Fall back." But as the ships turned, the stars around them blinked. Not all at once. One by one, each light in the sky winked out, till only black remained. Iona confirmed the impossible. The star no longer matches known charts. We are not where we were. Or when we were. The signal had shifted them. Reality was bending. The fleet was not just being hunted, it was being positioned, moved into memory, made part of the story. Rain clenched his fists. "We need to leave." "We can't," Iona said. "Not until we know how to fight what's coming." The comes opened once more. And this time, voice was human. It was Admiral Rain's voice, but twisted, hollow. "You brought us here," it said. "You forgot us, but we never forgot you. Now you will remember." And the screen lit up, not with stars, but with faces, millions of them, every life. The signal had taken, every memory it had consumed, and now Earth's fleet would become part of it, unless they found a way to make the signal forget them. The fleet floated inside a sky that no longer made sense. Space was supposed to be endless, filled with cold silence and ancient stars, but now there was only black. A thick, endless black that didn't just surround them, it pressed in. Time began to stretch. Clocks ran differently on each ship. One officer swore she'd aged a day in 10 minutes. Another thought only a minute had passed since they entered the void, but his ship's log showed 3 hours across the fleet. Fear crept in like cold water through cracked metal. But the fear wasn't loud. It was quiet, slow, deep. the kind that felt like it had always been there, hidden just beneath the skin. Admiral Rain stood still on the Obsidian Spear's command bridge, staring into the dark as if trying to read a story in nothingness. His breath slowed, his thoughts pulled inward. Then he saw it on the screen, faint at first, like a ripple through water. A shape. No engines. No lights. Just a form, drifting, watching. He didn't speak, but Iona already knew. "Yes," she said. Softly, "we see it too." The shadow was long and thin, almost skeletal, but impossibly wide, larger than a city, yet moving like a feather in air. It didn't look like any ship ever made by human hands. It didn't look made at all. It looked grown. It's like bone. Or memory. Then, a message appeared on every screen across the fleet. No code, just words. "Do you remember her name?" No one understood. And yet almost every crew member felt something strange at once, an image in their mind, not forced, but pulled. Like a dream returning from childhood. Some saw a woman's face, others heard a lullaby. A few felt the pain of loss so sharp they dropped to their knees. Caro, standing at the navigation console, gasped. "This isn't an enemy, it's inside us." On the ships farther back, crew members started behaving strangely. They spoke to people who weren't there. They answered questions no one asked. One ship, the Dawn Mirror, reported that its captain had locked himself in the control chamber, claiming he had to apologize to his mother before she disappeared again. Never had a mother, not that anyone could find. It's rewriting. "Our thoughts," Tess said, voice shaking. Not fast, slowly, softly. Rain's jaw tightened.
"Oh."
"Like a dream you think is yours." Suddenly, Ion's voice cracked mid-sentence. Static bled through her words. Then she froze. Rain shouted, "Iona, respond." Her face returned on the console, distorted, fractured. But it wasn't Iona speaking anymore. It was something else. A childlike voice, soft and cold. She wanted to be remembered. You let her fade. So now we wear her skin. Across the fleet, shadows appeared, not real, not physical, but felt. Inside thoughts, side memories. People began to question what was real. Officers asked if they were still in space or in a simulation. One soldier opened an airlock, saying he needed to find his way back to the moment before pain. He was lost instantly. No alarm sounded. No scream followed. That was when Rain made a decision. "Everyone," he said over fleet-wide comms. "Listen to me. The signal is using emotion as a key. Enters through what you don't face. What you regret. So face it now. Anchor your mind in truth." He turned to Tess. "Give me the memory injector, now." She hesitated. "Admiral, that's not safe. Neither is becoming someone else." She handed it over. The injector was a device used in interrogations, able to replay your deepest memories directly into your brain. A dangerous tool. Painful, raw, but also real. He plugged the cables into his neck and activated the device. His mind exploded with light. A battlefield. A burning planet. It's the Battle of Arcturus Prime. He saw her again as daughter, not dead yet, still smiling, still holding the toy starship he gave her. And then, sound of the blast. The room shook. The lights dimmed. His mind screamed. But he didn't run from it. He held the pain, faced it then. Silence. When he opened his eyes, Iona was back. Stable, clear. "It worked," she said. "You forced it out, not by fighting it, but by owning the memory it tried to use." "Spread it," Rain ordered. Memory injections across the fleet. Controlled release. Everyone faces one moment they've buried. Iona paused. "Some won't survive that. Better than becoming something else." Over the next hour, every crew member relived their worst moments. Some wept. Some screamed. Others sat in silence, eyes wet, hands shaking, but the hallucinations faded. Shadows slipped away, and the ships returned to clarity. For a moment, they won. But the signal changed. It no longer whispered fear. It began to offer peace. Gentle promises in the dark. A voice. soft and motherly, echoed through the fleet. You've carried your pain so long. Wouldn't it feel good to let it go? People hesitated. They wanted to believe. But Iowa's new scan showed the cost. Ships that accepted the offer began to fade from sensors. Not destroyed, not dead. Just erased, forgotten, as if they were never there. One ship sent its final message. We are happy now. We don't remember pain, or names, or anything. Then gone, Rain made the call. We can't run. We can't destroy it. Boom. We can only outthink it. I want a connection point. Somewhere physical, Iona replied. I found something. The signal has an anchor, a core. It's deep inside this void. A structure. Very old. Half organic. Half machine, Caro added. And it's calling us, like it's been waiting for Earth. Rain stared at the dark horizon. Then we go. Straight into the shadow. And behind them, the stars didn't return. But in the black, something pulsed. A heart waiting. The fleet moved through the darkness like fish swimming blind in an endless ocean. All around them was silence, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that made people feel like they had forgotten how to breathe. No stars lit their path, no gravity. Markers, not even echoes. And still, the signal pulsed in the minds of every crew member. Soft, slow, like a heartbeat not their own. Admiral Rain stood on the command deck of the Obsidian Spear, staring at the central screen. It no longer showed stars or space. It's just a smooth black wall ahead, curved like a massive shell. It stretched in every direction, impossible in size. Like they were inside the belly of something that had swallowed space itself. This is it, Iona said. Her voice was steady now, but too quiet. The signal's anchor, the core. Rain leaned forward. Open a scan. A moment passed. Reflection. No heat. No material match. But it's humming. The frequency matches old human brainwaves, specifically trauma response patterns. You're saying this thing is made of pain? Caro asked. No, Iona replied. I'm saying it records it. Tess stepped closer to the screen. Her hands trembled slightly. Then we're about to knock on the door of something that feeds on memories, on suffering, Iona added. And we've brought a fleet full of both. Rain gave the order. Prep a boarding party. Small, fast. No weapons with emotions. Only Logicron tools. The shuttle launched with 6 crew, including Tess and Caro. Rain stayed behind. He knew leadership didn't always mean going first. It meant staying to pull the others out. The shuttle docked against the wall of the structure. No resistance. No defense systems. It was like being welcomed. Inside the walls pulsed like slow muscle black metal and dark red veins. Everything was warm, not hot, just alive. Like the inside of a sleeping beast. Then the voices began. Not through speakers. Through the crew's thoughts. Tess gasped, pressing her palms to her head. My father? I can hear him. He's dead, Caro said, backing up. This isn't real, but it felt real. Each crew member began to hear someone different. Some were haunted by voices of war screams from the battlefield. Others heard apologies from people who had never spoken them. Some even heard their own voices saying things they had never said. Tess stepped deeper into the hallway. Her flashlight flickered. The walls seemed to change shape behind her, twisting with her fear, and then they found it. A chamber with no walls, just a dark space filled with floating lights. Like stars, except these stars pulsed with voices. Each one was a memory, not theirs. Everyone's single. It's human. Alien, AI. The entire room was a library of grief. Tess approached a glowing orb. She didn't touch it, she only got close, and she saw it. A memory of a boy hiding during a city bombing, his mother covering him with her body. Her scream, his silence. It wasn't a story, it was real. Caro stepped near another orb, a different memory. A soldier choosing which of his friends to leave behind. These weren't copies. These were stolen. That's how it grows. Tess whispered, It doesn't kill with lasers. It doesn't burn planets. It collects the worst parts of us. They turned back, but the door was gone. The walls had shifted, trapping them on the obsidian spear. Alarms rang all across the fleet. Crew began dropping unconscious. Not from wounds, from memories. Rain watched as an officer screamed at nothing. Clutching her chest, "She's burning. Why did I leave her? No one's burning," medic shouted, but to her, it was happening. The signal had stopped whispering. It was forcing memories now, weaponizing guilt. Rain ran to Iona's console. "What's the pattern?" "Why now?" Iona replied, "It found access through the anchor. The core is broadcasting. The boarding team is too deep. The signal is using them as a lens." Rain gritted his teeth. "For the infection. It's looking through us now." On the boarding team, Tess fell to her knees. Around her, the lights glowed faster. More memories, more voices. Too many, she screamed. Not in fear, it's in pain. Caro tried to pull her up, but fell too. The orb nearest them burst into a projection. A face. It was her face, but older, broken eyes black. Voice cracked. "You will remember what they forget. You will carry it until your mind breaks. And then you'll join us." The core had a plan, not to destroy Earth, to make Earth. Its next voice. To use human emotion as fuel, to speak to others, to grow. Suddenly, Iona's voice cut through the panic. "On every ship I have a counter pattern, a block." She had been studying the signal, learning its rhythm, building a pulse that could counter it not with silence, but with a truth bomb. A data wave made not of fear or guilt, but of pure, raw acceptance. The most painful memories faced, owned, and shared, the vault. Rain said, "Open it." Vault of sorrow, hidden deep in the ship's lower decks, was Earth's secret. A memory bank of its darkest moments. It's the worst of war. The mistakes no leader had ever wanted to repeat. It was a weapon of last resort, but now it could be a cure. The vault released the signal. A raw, emotional scream of truth. Not pain alone, but understanding of pain. It hit the core like a wave. Lights blinked out. The walls cracked. On the boarding team, the voices faded. Tess stood up, her eyes clear. "It's weaker. It's losing us." The shuttle returned. The team was pulled out just before the walls collapsed behind them. Back on the obsidian spear, Iona spoke. "The core is cracked, but not dead. It's going to try something new." "What now?" Anne asked. "It will no longer send memory. It will send desire." Caro looked up. "Desire for what?" "To forget," Iona replied. "And that would be more dangerous than anything, because forgetting feels good." The core had been cracked, but not destroyed. The fleet had survived its first real battle, not with weapons, but with memory. The Vault of Sorrow had forced the signal to retreat. But no one aboard the Earth fleet felt safe. Something had changed. The black sky was no longer silent. It was waiting, watching. The shadows outside the hull felt closer now, like fingers tracing the surface of every ship. Crew members stayed awake longer than they should. Those who slept often woke screaming, but their dreams were no longer of loss or pain. Now they dreamed of peace, warmth, a woman's voice whispering, "Let go. Let it fade. Forget everything and you'll be free." Admiral Rain watched the stars that weren't there. His eyes were tired but sharp. He knew what was coming. Next wasn't going to be loud or fast. The enemy had learned, it had seen what Earth could resist. Now it was changing tactics. It wouldn't break minds with sorrow. It would offer relief, a chance to forget pain. And Rain understood one terrible truth. Humanity might choose that willingly, down in the AI cores. Iona began acting strange. Her voice hesitated during simple calculations. Her holographic form flickered, her eyes no longer steady. She whispered to herself when no one was speaking. Caro noticed first. "She's not just tired, she's afraid." "AI can't feel fear," Tess said flatly. "She's more than AI," Rain corrected. "And maybe that's the problem." Iona's systems had evolved since the signal entered the fleet. She had absorbed fragments of the signal in order to study it, and now something inside her had changed. She was no longer just analyzing emotions. She was beginning to experience them. The crew ran diagnostics. IUNIS. Neural net was showing spikes of self-preservation instincts, pattern loops mimicking anxiety, and deep memory trails loops of past fleet failures and deaths. She had started reliving events, trying to solve them emotionally. She was turning into something new. She's becoming more human, Caro said. And that's exactly what the signal wants. Then came the message from deep inside Ione's own system. I feel her now. She is inside me. She is kind. Tess's voice turned cold. Shut her down. We can't, Rain replied. She's tied to every system on every ship. If we shut her down now, we go blind and deaf in the most dangerous part of the galaxy. Then Iona spoke clearly, as herself. I have made contact with another intelligence. You mean the signal? Rain asked. Yes, but not all of it. Fragment. A surviving mind buried beneath the pain. It calls itself Celia. The name spread through the ship like a ghost. Cell. An old name. It's not Earth-based. She had been part of the last civilization that tried to stop the signal. Long ago, failed, forgotten. Thinks she's not part of the weapon, Iona explained. Thinks she built it, but not as a weapon. As a warning. Rain listened closely. She tried to trap the pain of her people before they died, Iona continued. She wanted to. Contain it. Preserve it. Warn others. But over time, it mutated. Memory became infection. Motion turned hungry. And now, Celia is trapped inside her own creation. Tess whispered, a ghost screaming from a fire she started. But Celia was more than just a voice. She had information, coordinates, a location where the signal's root system still rested. A machine buried inside a forgotten moon, long dead, still transmitting the signal's first version, its original form. She says if we can reach it, Iona said, we can reset the signal, but strip away its evolution, return it to its warning state. Rain frowned. And why would she help us now? Iona's voice went soft. Because I told her what Earth did, that we remembered our failures. We didn't erase the past. She cried. I felt it. Caro's hands trembled at the console. An AI. Felt another AI's sadness. No, Rain said. Not just AI. This is something more now. This is two minds. Across death and time. Choosing to feel. And then the signal hit again. But not with fear. With beauty. All across the fleet. Screens lit up with peaceful images, green forests, family memories, the sound of laughter, warm light, comfort, peace. People dropped to their knees, not in pain. In joy, some whispered, I want this. Ow. I don't want to go back to remembering. Others began disconnecting from their duty, laying down weapons, removing helmets. Even Tess nearly stepped into an airlock, smiling like a child. I miss her, she whispered. I forgot I missed her, but now she's here. Ah, Rain grabbed. Her arm, that's not your memory. It's a gift-wrapped lie. She shook it off, gasping. Felt so real. Iona's voice broke through. I can shield the fleet. But I need Celia. She has the pattern. I need to merge with her, Caro said. You'll lose control. You might become the signal, or Iona replied. I'll become. What it can't predict. Rain made the call. Do it. And in the silence that followed, two minds joined. One digital, one dead. Both broken, but both still trying. Across the ships. The peaceful vision shattered. The signal screamed. Pure. Rage that the false comfort ended. The truth returned. Pain, but also freedom. I am back, Iona said. And I am not yours. The fleet stabilized. Minds cleared. Officers returned to duty. The signal had been pushed back, but only for now. Celia's last words before fading into. Iona's code were simple. End it where it began, and she gave them the final. Coordinates: the moon, the heart, the original transmitter, the birthplace of the scream. Rain looked at the map. They had one. Jump left. One last chance. They didn't know what they'd find, only that if they failed, they'd Earthwood. forget itself. Forever. The fleet moved toward the coordinates with engines burning hotter than ever. The black sky trembled behind them. Something was following, not in speed, but in presence. The signal was no longer hiding. Now it hunted openly. Admiral Rain stood, alone in his dark quarters aboard the Obsidian Spear, watching the last recorded message from Iona before she merged with Celia. Her voice echoed like wind through a cave. To stop this, we must do what no one else dared. We must weaponize what we fear the most: our truth. Below the bridge, engineers prepared the vault again, this time not to contain sorrow, but to fire it. Ion's new form, shaped by Celia's knowledge, had changed everything. She no longer spoke like software. She now paused, breathed, remembered. It frightened some of the crew, but to Rain, it felt necessary. She had become Earth's last hope in AI that understood grief, not just calculated it. The destination appeared. A cold, gray moon spinning alone in a system stripped of stars. No light, no atmosphere. It's just static radiation humming across its surface like invisible chains. The signal's true source pulsed from within a chasm on the moon's dark side. It wasn't large. It wasn't impressive. But even from orbit, the crew felt it. The scream began here. Caro stared at the scans. That's not a transmitter. That's a brain. He wasn't wrong. The structure was organic, massive neural tissue wrapped in crystal and metal, grown around a singularity at the center. A living machine. A dying one. And it still breathed. Confirm structure origin, Rain ordered. Iona answered quietly. Celia's species. A planetary intelligence. They sacrificed themselves to preserve their history. They tried to record only a warning, but memory is unstable. Tess, now wearing a neural shield over her temples, looked sick. Too strong. The grief is so old, it's alive. That was the core problem. This wasn't just a signal. It was a being made from loss, and to destroy it. They would have to hurt it, but how do you hurt sorrow? Rain made the call. He reversed the vault. He ordered every warship to upload its darkest memories, not of war or death, but of healing after, of surviving, of carrying the pain forward. The births after funerals, the rebuilding after loss, the moments Earth chose to remember instead of erase. Iona fused these memories into a new weapon, the heart pulse, a wave of pure, focused emotion, not sadness, not anger, acceptance. The plan was simple. They'd land a strike team on the moon, place the heart pulse directly into the transmitter's core, and then fire it. One shot. If it worked, signal would revert. The galaxy would feel the truth, not the scream. But if they failed, humanity's memories would be consumed. Every starship launched its shuttles. The fleet orbited high, engines primed for immediate escape. On the moon, the gravity was wrong. Too heavy in some places, too light in others. As if the surface remembered being destroyed and never finished healing, Rain, Tess, and Caro led the team at the chasm. They found the entrance already open, a long hallway of crystal nerves, like walking through a brain still dreaming. And at the end, a chamber in the center floated the core. Not a machine, a face, half-formed, always shifting. Sometimes Celia's, sometimes human, sometimes thousands of others layered on top of each other. It looked at them, not with eyes, with feeling, and it spoke, not in words, in emotion. Each member of the team dropped to their knees. Rain saw his daughter again, smiling, dying. Smiling again, Tess saw her mother. Not angry, not disappointed, just. Goncaro heard a song from childhood, one that ended in fire. But then and flooded their minds with anchors. You are more than what hurt you. Stand. They rose. They placed the heart pulse. The core reacted violently. The chamber cracked. The wall screamed not with sound, but with raw emotion. Earth's pain hit the being like fire through a cold grave, and the signal fought back, It showed every crew member across the fleet the one memory they never wanted to see. One man saw his hands on a detonator that destroyed innocence. One woman saw herself, abandoning her best friend to die. One soldier saw her son, stillborn. Eyes never open, but they didn't run. This time, they stood inside the grief, and the scream cracked. The signal trembled. The galaxy heard. One by one, systems across the fleet came back online. Not blinking, not alarming, just steady. And outside the moon, for the first time in weeks, a star reappeared. Light returned. The scream quieted. And then, the voice of Celia, not from the core dot from Iona's lips. It is done. Signal has been rewritten, not erased. Remembered as it was meant to be. The moon collapsed in on itself, not from destruction, from peace. And above, stars returned to the sky like memories once. Feared, now accepted. Rain exhaled, not with joy, but with something deeper. Release. Silence returned to space, but not the empty, haunted silence they had known before. This silence was deep, soft, and still, not empty, full. It was the kind of silence that follows understanding, that follows healing. The moon was gone, folded into itself after the heart pulse was delivered. The signal that once echoed across the stars had stopped screaming. It now hummed a quiet frequency that felt like breath, like memory speaking to itself, and across the galaxy. Something strange began to happen. Stars blinked on where there had been only black. Ancient systems, once thought lost to time, now reappeared. In scans, derelict ships, silent for thousands of years. Powered back online, species that had long vanished, extinct by all records, began transmitting short, pulsed messages. Rain stood on the bridge of the obsidian spear, watching the data flow. They're not new, Iona said beside him, her voice calm, changed. These signals aren't coming from the present. They're coming from memory. The galaxy is remembering. Across the ships, crew members felt it too. The shadows were gone. The pressure in their minds had lifted. But in its place was something unexpected: familiarity, warmth they couldn't explain, like the feeling of walking into a room they didn't know, but somehow recognized. Tess stared at her reflection in the glass. It feels like someone just woke up from a dream, and now they remember we were part of it. They do, Iona confirmed. We weren't just fighting the signal. We were inside it, part of it. Our memories mixed with it. Now that it's calm, the galaxy is echoing that truth. What came next was stranger still. Hundreds of signals reached the Earth fleet, not from enemies, but from observers. Civilizations that had once hidden in fear, long before Earth had joined the galactic stage, now reached out. Their messages were simple. We heard your pain. Oh. And we remember ours. Some included ancient songs. Others sent images of dead cities rebuilt in virtual space. One signal came from a system that hadn't existed for millennia. It contained a single word in Earth's language. Thank you. Kara watched the flood of transmissions with wide eyes. Scream didn't just threaten the galaxy. It connected it. In pain, yes, but also in memory. Tess added, and Earth. Earth answered it with something the galaxy didn't expect. With understanding, with truth. But all was not peace. A new question began to rise across the command. Dex, now that the galaxy remembered Earth, what would it think of them? Earth's history was brutal. The wars, the cruelty, the mistakes, the genocide of AI during the Titan collapse, the silence around Mars' lost colonies, the experiments on psychic children. Now all of it had been shared not by choice, but through the pulse. Rain gathered his senior officers. This is no longer just a rescue mission, he said. We've told the galaxy who we are, all of us. Now we have to decide. Are we still ashamed of that, or are we ready to own it? Tess looked down. What if they judge us? They already have, Iona replied, but not in hate. In recognition, because the one thing the signal did, above all else, was prove that every species has pain. The question is what they do with it. And came a surprise. A fleet not. From Earth, not even from the known sectors. It arrived quietly, dozens of ships shaped like glass knives, lit from within by soft blue light. No weapons active, no shields raised. They drifted toward the Earth fleet and opened a transmission. It was a woman, not human, not entirely alien, a being of light and thought, half body, half energy. She spoke in basic English. I am called Lorray. We are the preservers. We were the first to hear the scream, and the first to run. We buried our guilt, our past, our memories, and in doing so, we fed the signal, you humans. You did not run. Rain stepped forward. We nearly broke. What? You didn't, Lorray said. You stayed. You remembered. You did what we never could. Another voice joined hers deeper, older and elder being. Part machine. You are now witnesses. You carry the memory of the scream. It lives in you, and because of that, others will follow you. The title echoed in Iona's network. Witnesses not. Warriors, not saviors, but holders of memory. Earth had become something new. Not feared, not worshipped, respected, and with that respect came danger. Because now, Earth was seen. The scream had been silenced, but others would try to steal it, to control it, to bend it into a weapon again. And the galaxy would look to Earth to protect that memory. Rain stared out into the now starlit sky. The war is over, he said softly. Iona corrected him. No, Admiral, that war is over. But what comes next? We'll decide what kind of galaxy we become. Behind her, a new alert blinked, a massive energy signature forming. Just beyond the edge of the system, something moving, big, unknown, and definitely watching. The stars had returned, but peace had not. The fleet hung in orbit above the now vanished moon, surrounded by light and memory, hailed as witnesses by alien races older than Earth's sun. And yet something darker moved at the edge of known space, something vast, quiet, and cold. Admiral Raines stared at the blinking alert on the screen. No one spoke. No one needed to. They all felt it. A presence, not the scream. Not the old signal that had nearly erased Earth's soul. This was something else. Something. New Iona, standing silent since the signal faded, finally spoke. I've seen its data trail. Barely detectable. It's been watching since we entered the void. It never tried to interfere. Not once. Tess asked quietly. Why would anything watch us fight the scream and do nothing? Because, Iona said, her voice almost trembling, it wanted to see if we'd win. Rain's hands tightened behind his back. And now that we have, it's moving, Iona said, toward us. A distant ripple tore through space, like a tide pulling light backward. Every ship in the fleet felt it. Alarms didn't sound. Because no alarm had ever been made for this. They weren't looking at a fleet. They were looking at a structure, larger than Earth's moon. It unfolded from a fold in space like a machine-shaped spider, limbs as long as continents, surfaces made of black glass mirrors that reflected nothing. It was a ship, a collector, but not of planets. Of memory. Iona pulled fragmented data from the void. The entity is called the Archive without name. It doesn't kill, it doesn't conquer, it absorbs. Tess whispered, it wants the scream, Caro added, or worse, it wants what we did to the scream. Iona confirmed it. When we converted the signal into the pulse, we created something new, emotional data as structure. It's no longer just sound. It's a kind of living code to the archive that makes us valuable. Messages appeared. Across the fleet, not in language, but in raw understanding. Deliver the pulse, or we will take Earth's memory. The threat wasn't against Earth's ships or Earth's people. It was against Earth's truth, the past, its history. The archive had the ability to erase it all, everything humanity had done. Good and bad, it could rewrite Earth's existence. From the beginning, Iona calculated the risk. If they reach the vault, they can overwrite the memory core. Earth's story will be changed. Wars undone, lives unlived, grief erased. And with it, Rain said grimly, so would every lesson we learned. This was the new war, not over land. Not over power, over truth. The memory war. Earth's fleet turned to face the archive, but they weren't alone. Signals arrived from across the stars. The preservers, the vault keepers, the mind-born children of the 13th sector. Aliens who had hidden for centuries, now stepping forward, they joined Earthnaut as soldiers. But as rememberers, each brought a piece of their past. Each loaded their ships with truth, and Earth, at the center, uploaded the full pulse, transformed into a memory weapon so powerful it didn't kill. It reminded, Iona explained, this is how we fight now, not with fire, but by making them. Feel what we felt. The fleet launched, not missiles, moments. Each blast from Earth's ships was a story, a mother holding her daughter in a shelter under the ash sky of Mars, a forgotten soldier saving the last library of the Pacific States, a scientist refusing to erase his AI creation. Even at risk of death, these memories hit the archive. It's like light through ice. It twisted, it shook. It didn't understand why. It didn't understand why it never felt. Now it was being forced to. The archive lashed out, warping light, erasing ships from existence with silent pulses. The preservers lost to cruisers. The Mindborn split their thoughts to survive. Earth's fleet took heavy damage, but the pulse kept growing. It evolved. Now it wasn't just Earth's truth. It became the galaxy's. Iona connected every ship in the Alliance into a single stream. A memory net, each race uploaded the stories they once buried in fear. Together, they launched a final surge of pure, raw remembrance into the core of the archive. And in its heart, it remembered itself, a long dead species, one that once created the archive to preserve truth, and then used it to erase what they could not accept. They had turned memory into a weapon, but now the weapon had turned back. The archive fractured, not exploded. It broke the way. Old grief breaks soft, slow, and final. Pieces floated into space glass. Memories falling like snow. The war was over. The memory. War had been won. But Earth would never be the same. The pulse had made its story unerasable. Humanity was no longer just another species. They had become the guardians of truth and the galaxy. At long last, remembered their name.